Welcome back. Today we're going to look at some symbol table applications to give you some idea of how symbol tables might be used by client programs for practical problems. First one we'll look at seems even simpler than regular symbol tables, and that's about sets. So a mathematical set is just a collection of distinct keys. There's plenty of applications where we want to just be able to implement this really simple API. We want to be able to create an empty set. We want methods to add a key to the set and to check whether a given key is in the set or not, to remove a key and maybe return the number of keys in the set, and also have an iterator to iterate through keys in the set. This is simpler than symbol tables because it's got no associated value. That's a very simple API, but of course we want to be able to do these operations efficiently. How would we go ahead and implement that? Well, if you think about it for just a minute, you see that what you need to do is just remove all references to value from any of the symbol table implementations that we look at. The implementation is easy. Take one of our symbol table implementations and get rid of the code that refers to values. Okay, so let's look at a couple of applications where this set API might be useful in client programs. One thing that is very common is the idea of an exception filter. So the way we'll set that up is to think about having a list of files, a list of words in a file that are exceptional in some way. In this case, we'll have the file list.txt that has these 4 words in it: was, it, the, and of. There's two complementary ways to look at this. One is so-called whitelisting, where we want to take the words in that file and then we have some other much bigger file, and what we want to do is print out all the occurrences of our exceptional words in our given file. Those are the ones that we care about, that we want to get through. So in this case, tinytail.txt, the first couple of words from Tale of Two Cities, and these words appear often: it was the of, it was the of. Another complementary approach is to think of these words as words that we don't want to ever see. They're blacklists and we want to take them out of our source file. So a blacklist client would print out all the words in our source file, tinytail.txt, except was, it, the, and of. In this case, best times, worst times, and so forth. So that's an exception filter, and that's useful in lots of applications, such as the ones listed here. For example, you might have a spell checker where you want to identify misspelled words. So then your key would be a word or string, and in your exceptional list would be words that are in the dictionary. And you'd want to print out all the words that are not in the dictionary. That's an example of an exception filter. In a browser, you might want to mark your visited pages or block sites and so forth. Or like the one at the bottom, credit cards. Maybe you run a credit card company and you want to check for stolen cards. Then your keys would be numbers, and in your list might be kind of short, which would be the stolen cards that you know about, and you'd want to run a whitelist filter for those cards and print out in your long list of transactions whichever transactions have that stolen cards. So that's just a couple of examples of exception filters. What's the implementation of an exception filter? Here's a simple one using the set API that we just articulated. So we start by creating an empty set of strings. And again, since we don't have associated values, we just have the one generic for strings. And then create a new input stream from the first argument, so that's the name of the file that contains the exceptional words. This just reads those strings while the input string is not empty, and then adds them to the set. So that now we have our set of exceptional words, and now from standard input we read words. As long as our set contains the word, we print it out. If it doesn't contain it, we don't print it out. So that's an example of a whitelist filter. And to implement blacklist, we just this call to contains, we just change that to a not. If it's not in the exceptional list, then we print it out. So that's a simple example of a filter using sets.